Well, I'm joined in studio by Professor Itumeleng Mothoagae from Unisa's College of Human Sciences as we discuss the election of the Pope. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Thanks very much.
Good afternoon to you too.
For agreeing to join us. There's obviously a great deal of interest in this process. But what amazes me is how, certainly on social media, virtually everyone comes up with names of people that they say potential successors to Pope Francis. But one would have thought that by now the list would have been narrowed down quite significantly, and that isn't the case.
No, it is not. This is simply because the process itself is supposed to be a process that allows the cardinals, firstly, to get to know one another. And after knowing one another, of course, this is, I think, for the first time that you're going to see the global south be more represented than the global north. And even the not known countries and islands that would be in the marginal generally because of whatever the geopolitics. But as much as we would love to, this is not, as much as we would love to, it is a political, but yet it is also a spiritual process. A political process because the election of the Pope is also election of the President of the Vatican, which is called the Holy See. Then you also have the other part of it, which is the spiritual leader of all the Catholics. So that process itself, the cardinals coming to know one another, is an opportunity to hear what do you think? Do you think we should reform? Do you think we should continue with the reformations and what Pope Francis had put in place and so on? So you're going to, it's a mixture of that, but it's trying to also hear whether people amongst themselves, is there any potential candidate?
Let me take a few steps back. Why or what happened over the past few years that which has led to the global south now being more represented than has perhaps ever been the case before? What actually happened?
Yeah, the Catholic Church in the global south is growing. It's growing where else in Europe it is diminishing. And a lot of Catholic churches in Europe now have become museums or hotels and so on and so on. And yet Christianity comes from the West. What now we are seeing the growth of it in the global south. And when I mean the global south, I mean South America, Africa, and Asia. So you see the growth there. And that growth fundamentally has got to do with how the Catholic Church speaks to some of the issues that the people are going through and are experiencing. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that Francis was intentional. He was intentional in such a way that he wanted to transform the conclave, that the Eurocentrism that comes out of the conclave or comes out of what you call the College of Cardinals is not dominating where there is growth and there is also a general love for the Catholic Church.
So I was saying that because what confuses me somewhat when you talk about the growth of the Catholic Church, obviously Africa, Asia, and South America, is that from where I'm sitting, I'm seeing a different scenario. I'm seeing a mushrooming of churches where people clap and they're all spiritual, whereas I grew up in the Anglican Church. I was a server in the Anglican Church for many years, but I'm seeing a decline. Obviously, from what you're telling me, I'm wrong. Has any research been done as to how and why people or more people may well be gravitating towards your Catholic Church?
Yeah, I think, Vuyo, we've got to go back to John the 23rd, when he said, let us open the windows and introduce what we now call Vatican II. And in the Vatican II, one of the things about it was about inculturation. And inculturation meaning that now people have got to bring in their richness of their culture, their music into the worship. And as a result of that, you see that. But also the change in the decision to say, look, you don't have to have a Latin Mass throughout the world, but let people have the Mass in their own languages. And that on itself, it has increased the number of people, because the Catholic Church is very rich with symbolism, is very rich with rituals, which of course with Reformation, they threw those things out. But, and it speaks also to, as an African, symbolism is very important. Rituals are very important. When a child is born, we do certain rituals. And so these rituals that take place also, what we call the sacramentals in the Catholic Church, that will carry people throughout their journey, is the ones that actually draws people to that.
Now, before assembling, as they are going to do now at the Sistine Chapel, to elect a new pope, do these cardinals then get to, or do they have regular contact with each other where they get to share these ideas, where presumably, or one would imagine, they would have gotten opportunities to know one another before having to gather at the Sistine Chapel from today? Do they get such opportunities?
The last time that I think cardinals were able to come together was when the Pope called what we call synodality. That was the last time that actually, and ever since there's been a number of appointments of cardinals. So this is for the first time that all the cardinals, the 133 cardinals, are now coming together to get to know one another. And also about ideologies, nationalities, where do you think the church should go? Should we go back? Should we continue with the legacy of Francis? So you're going to have those two conversations, those ones that are moderate, those ones that are liberal, and those ones that are conservative, and those ones that are ultra-conservative, who are going to be, and out of that, of course, you are going to be able to really find out who's going to emerge.